Captain Sarah Chen stood motionless on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The newly commissioned warship represented humanity's finest achievement in space warfare, a perfect fusion of quantum mechanics and conventional weaponry that most species would consider impossible to integrate. But right now, all that technology was telling her something she didn't want to believe. Contact bearing 035. Captain, Lieutenant Maya Patel reported from her sensor station, dark eyes narrowing at the readings. Energy signature is unlike anything in our database. It's massive. And it's not alone. Sarah's jaw tightened. The Defiant's patrol route along the edge of human space was supposed to be routine, a simple show of force to protect the Perseus colony and its 15,000 inhabitants. But there was nothing routine about these readings. Analysis, she demanded, already moving toward her command chair. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency around her, their movements precise but tinged with tension. Multiple objects emerging from fold space, Maya continued. Biomechanical in nature, highly advanced. There, she paused, rechecking her readings. They're changing configuration even as we watch. First Officer David Rivera stepped closer to the main display, his cybernetic hand unconsciously touching the scar that ran down his neck, a reminder of humanity's last major conflict. Pattern suggests combat formation. Whatever they are, they're not here for conversation. Sarah had already reached the same conclusion. Battle stations, sound general quarters, deploy quantum shields and bring all weapons online. Communications, get me a priority channel to Fleet Command. The Defiant's alert klaxons blared as the massive ship transformed from peaceful patrol vessel to war machine. Armored plates slid into place over vulnerable sections, weapon ports opened, and the revolutionary quantum shield grid hummed to life, creating layers of probability fields around the hull. Captain, they're accelerating, Maya reported, her voice tightening. Multiple vectors. They're heading straight for Perseus colony. Sarah's mind raced through options. The Defiant was the most advanced ship in Earth's fleet, but they were facing multiple unknown hostiles with technology that seemed to evolve by the second. The closest reinforcements were 3 days away at best speed. Chief Engineer Kaminsky, status of the quantum drive. Ready for combat maneuvers, Captain, replied the gruff voice of their Polish engineer. But I should mention the probability field generators are showing some unusual readings. These bogies are putting out some kind of interference I've never seen before. A massive energy spike appeared on the tactical display. Multiple weapons charging. Maya shouted. Impact in 5 seconds. Evasive pattern delta. Sarah ordered. Tactical. Target the lead vessel. Let's see how they handle our quantum torpedoes. The Defiant moved with impossible grace for a ship its size, quantum drives allowing it to shift partially out of normal space as it evaded. Streams of exotic energy from the alien vessels carved through the void where they had been moments before. The human ship's response was immediate, a spread of quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple probability states until impact. It was technology that had taken Earth's best minds decades to perfect, combining principles that most species considered mutually exclusive. But as the weapons struck their target, Sarah's blood ran cold. The alien vessel's hull seemed to ripple and adapt, absorbing the impact and actually growing stronger. They're learning from our weapons, Maya reported in disbelief. Their hull composition is changing to match our quantum frequency. Captain, Rivera's voice was urgent. Perseus colony is reporting their outer sensors are detecting similar vessels approaching from other vectors. This isn't just an attack, it's an invasion. Sarah Chen had spent 15 years in Earth's Space Force. She'd fought pirates, rogue AI, and alien raiders, but she'd never seen anything like this. These beings weren't just technologically advanced. They were adaptive, learning, evolving in real time. Send an emergency broadcast to all human colonies in the sector, she ordered. Priority 1. Then get me everything we have on their energy signatures. If they can adapt to our weapons, we'll have to think of something they can't predict. Another barrage of alien fire rocked the ship, shields at 85% and dropping, Maya reported. Their weapons are becoming more efficient with each shot. Sarah's mind raced through options. Humanity had always survived by doing the unexpected, by combining technologies and tactics in ways other species thought impossible. Now, facing an enemy that could adapt to conventional attacks, they would need that innovative spirit more than ever. Mr. Rivera, plot an intercept course between those ships and Perseus colony, she commanded. Chief Kaminsky, I need options. What happens if we reverse the polarity on our quantum field generators and pump all available power into the probability drive? There was a pause before the engineer's reply. Best case, we create a localized reality distortion that their adaptive systems can't compensate for. Worst case, we tear ourselves apart at the quantum level. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Then let's make sure it's the best case. All hands, prepare for close-quarters combat. We're about to show these aliens why humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to do the impossible. The battle for Perseus colony was about to begin, and Captain Sarah Chen intended to demonstrate exactly why underestimating human ingenuity was always a fatal mistake. The engineering deck of the UEAst, defiant, thrummed with controlled chaos as Chief Engineer Kaminsky orchestrated what most species would consider technological heresy. Holographic displays filled the air around him, showing the quantum drive's inner workings as his team rerouted power through systems never meant to connect. You're telling me we're going to weaponize a drive system? Lieutenant Jessica Wong asked, her hands flying over control interfaces. The young engineer's cybernetic eyes whirred as they processed the complex calculations. That's exactly what we're doing, Kaminsky replied, his scarred hands manipulating quantum field projections in midair. These aliens adapt to conventional weapons, so we'll give them something their collective consciousness can't predict. Quantum uncertainty on a massive scale. Another blast rocked the ship. Above them, the battle for Perseus colony continued to rage. The alien vessels, now identified as the Void Collective by the ship's xenobiologists, had shown remarkable ability to counter every conventional tactic the Defiant employed. Shields at 60% and dropping, Maya's voice echoed through the ship's comm system. They're targeting our weapon hardpoints with increasing precision. Captain Chen's response was immediate. Status on the quantum modification, Chief. Almost there, Kaminsky reported, watching as power readings approached critical levels. We're essentially turning our quantum drive inside out, creating a bubble of probability distortion around the ship. In theory, it should make us exist in multiple states simultaneously. And in practice? Chen asked. In practice? Kaminsky allowed himself a grim chuckle. We've never attempted anything like this. The math suggests it's possible, but we're crossing technologies in ways that violate at least 3 different laws of physics. Violation of physics is practically a human specialty, Rivera commented from the bridge. Better than violation of existence if these things reach the colony. The tactical display showed the situation growing dire. The Void Collective ships had arranged themselves in a complex 3-dimensional pattern, their biomechanical forms pulsing with energy as they coordinated their attacks. Each blast from their weapons was more precise than the last as their hive mind analyzed and adapted to the Defiant's defensive patterns. Multiple impacts, Maya called out. They're targeting our shield generators specifically. Shields at 45% and failing. Time to change the rules, Chen declared. All hands, brace for quantum field activation. Kaminsky, on my mark. The engineer's fingers hovered over the final activation sequence. Around him, safety systems blared warnings about the impossible configurations they were attempting. The quantum drive was never designed to operate this way. Creating a deliberate probability distortion field went against every principle of safe spaceship operation. Helm, plot an attack vector straight through their formation, Chen ordered. Let's introduce some chaos into their perfect order. The Defiant's engines flared as it accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet. The Void Collective vessels, Massive biomechanical constructs that dwarfed the human ship adjusted their formation to surround their prey. Their weapons charged, ready to deliver what they had calculated would be a killing blow. "Now, Chief." Kaminsky slammed his hand down on the activation panel. For a moment, reality itself seemed to hiccup. The quantum drive's modified field exploded outward, enveloping the Defiant in a bubble of pure probability distortion. To the Void Collective sensors, the human ship seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, there and not there, moving in several directions at once. "It's working," Wang exclaimed, watching as enemy weapons fire passed harmlessly through probability shadows of the ship. "Their targeting systems can't lock onto our actual position." "Phase 2, Chen ordered. "All weapons, target their command node. Fire everything we've got." The Defiant's main guns opened up, each shot traveling through the quantum probability field. The Collective's adaptive shields, designed to counter conventional attacks, couldn't process the quantum-shifted projectiles that seemed to strike from multiple timelines at once. "Direct hits," Maya reported with barely contained excitement. "Their primary vessel is showing signs of structural damage. They can't adapt to what they can't predict." But the Void Collective's response was immediate and devastating. Their ships began to pulse with new energy signatures, their organic technology evolving at an accelerated rate. Tendrils of biomechanical matter reached out through space, trying to engulf the Defiant in a web of adaptive countermeasures. "They're attempting to analyze the quantum field from multiple vectors," Maya warned. "Probability matrix is becoming unstable." "How long can we maintain this field?" Chen demanded. 2 minutes at most," Kaminsky replied, his voice strained as he fought to maintain field stability. "After that, the drive will overload and we'll be running on conventional systems only." Chen leaned forward in her command chair, eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. "Then we make these minutes count. Helm, attack pattern Omega-3. Weapons, concentrate fire on these coordinates. Let's show them why humanity never plays by the expected rules." As the Defiant dove deeper into the heart of the alien fleet, its quantum field flickering with impossible energy, the crew knew they were writing a new chapter in human history, one that would prove once again that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, but their ability to use it in ways no one else would dare to imagine. The quantum field surrounding the UEA's Defiant flickered like heat lightning as the ship pushed deeper into the Void Collective's formation. Warning indicators flashed across every console on the bridge as the experimental modification strained the ship's systems to their limits. "Quantum field integrity at 30% and dropping," Kaminsky reported from engineering, his voice tight with concentration. "Whatever we're going to do, Captain, we need to do it fast." Captain Chen studied the tactical display intently, watching as the biomechanical ships of the Void Collective attempted to adapt to their probability field. The alien vessels were changing formation, their organic hulls pulsing with new patterns of energy as their hive mind processed the challenge before them. "They're learning," Maya observed from her sensor station. "The quantum field is making it harder for them, but they're starting to predict our probability patterns. We've got maybe 60 seconds before they crack the code." A new alert caught Rivera's attention. "Captain, message from Persis Colony. Their shields are down to 15%. They won't survive another concentrated attack." Chen's mind raced through options. The quantum field had given them an advantage, but it wasn't enough. They needed something more, something that would strike at the very nature of their enemy. Her eyes narrowed as she noticed something in the sensor data. "Maya, replay the last 30 seconds of sensor data. Focus on their communication patterns." The tactical display shifted, showing streams of energy passing between the Void Collective ships. Chen leaned forward, a spark of recognition in her eyes. "There, see how their ships coordinate. They're not just sharing tactical data. They're synchronizing their consciousness, trying to process our quantum field as a unified entity. Which means they have to maintain perfect coherence." Rivera caught on, his cybernetic hand clenching. "If we could disrupt that synchronization." "Chief," Chen called to engineering. What happens if we deliberately destabilize the quantum field? Not collapse it, but make it chaotic. There was a pause as Kaminsky ran the calculations. You want to weaponize the field collapse. That's brilliant and insane. The probability fluctuations would cascade through their network like a virus. Can you do it? Give me 2 minutes to reconfigure the field generators. But Captain, we'll only get one shot at this. When the field collapses, we'll be vulnerable. Another impact rocked the ship as the collective's weapons found their mark. Shields at 30%, Maya reported. Standard defenses are failing. 2 minutes is 1 minute more than we have, Chen decided. All hands, prepare for emergency maneuvers. Tactical, load all remaining quantum torpedoes. We're going to synchronize their detonation with the field collapse. The bridge crew worked with desperate efficiency as Kaminsky's team reconfigured the quantum drive. Outside, the Void Collective ships began to close in, their adaptive hulls morphing into new configurations designed to counter the Defiant's quantum field. Field modifications ready, Kaminsky announced. But Captain, this is going to put impossible strain on the drive. We might not survive the backlash. Noted, Chen replied grimly. Better to go down fighting than let these things reach the colony. All hands, brace for extreme maneuvers. Helm, plot a course through the heart of their formation. We're going to give them something their collective consciousness will never forget. The Defiant's engines flared as it accelerated toward the center of the alien fleet. The Void Collective ships moved to intercept, their weapons charging for what they calculated would be a killing blow. Field collapse in 10 seconds. Kaminsky counted down. 9, 8. Weapons locked on all targets, Maya reported. Quantum torpedoes ready. 7, 6, 5. All hands. Chen's voice was steady. It's been an honor. 4, 3, 2. Execute. The quantum field surrounding the Defiant didn't simply collapse. It exploded outward in a wave of pure chaos, probability itself shattering into a million contradictory possibilities. At the same instant, the ship's quantum torpedoes detonated, their warheads synchronized with the field collapse. The effect on the Void Collective was catastrophic. Their perfectly synchronized consciousness, attempting to process the cascade of quantum impossibilities, began to fragment. Ship after ship lost coherence as their unified mind struggled to reconcile countless contradictory realities. Multiple detonations, Maya shouted over the sound of straining metal. Their formation is breaking up. The hive mind is losing cohesion. Direct hits on 80% of targets, Rivera reported. They're actually retreating. The bridge view screen showed the impossible sight of the mighty Void Collective ships turning away, their biomechanical forms writhing in apparent confusion as their shared consciousness struggled to recover from the quantum assault. Perseus Colony reports the alien ships in their sector are also withdrawing, Maya added. Whatever we did, it affected their entire network. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the retreat. Send word to Fleet Command. Tell them we found a weakness in the collective. And get me a damage report. Something tells me this fight isn't over yet. As the last alien ships disappeared into fold space, the crew of the Defiant began to realize what they had accomplished. They had not only survived an encounter with the legendary Void Collective, they had driven them back using technology that by all rights shouldn't even have been possible. But that was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to take what should be impossible and make it reality, to find solutions that no other species would even think to attempt. And as Captain Chen looked at the determination on the faces of her crew, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. The aftermath of battle hung in space like a frozen moment. The UES Defiant drifted at station-keeping distance from Perseus Colony, its hull bearing the scars of their desperate gambit against the Void Collective. In the ship's medical bay, Captain Chen watched as medics treated the wounded, her own arm in a makeshift sling. Damage report, she asked as Rivera entered. his cybernetic systems still showing signs of interference from the quantum cascade. "It's not pretty," he replied, pulling up a holographic display. "Main quantum drive is offline. Kaminsky says the probability field collapse fried most of the primary systems. We're running on backup power, and shields are at 20% capacity." Chen nodded grimly. "And the collective?" "Still out there. Long-range sensors show them regrouping at the edge of the sector. They're adapting to what we did. Maya says their energy signatures are changing." Before Chen could respond, Maya's voice came urgent over the comm. "Captain to the bridge. We're detecting new signatures. They're coming back." The trip to the bridge was painful, but Chen pushed through it. The tactical display told the story. The Void Collective was returning, but differently. Their ships had changed configuration, their biomechanical forms now showing signs of quantum shielding. "They've adapted to our trick," Maya confirmed, her fingers dancing across her console. "The quantum cascade won't work twice. They've modified their collective consciousness to process probability distortions." "How long until they reach weapons range?" Chen asked. 17 minutes. "And Captain, there's more of them this time." Chen studied the tactical display, her mind racing. The Defiant's revolutionary quantum weapons were no longer an advantage, and conventional weapons had proved useless against the collective's adaptive capabilities. They needed something else, something even more unpredictable. "Get me Chief Kaminsky," she ordered. "And I want every department head on emergency conference. We need ideas, and we need them now." Minutes later, the ship's senior staff had gathered in the tactical center, a mix of determination and exhaustion on their faces. "The quantum drive is beyond repair," Kaminsky reported first, his voice rough from inhaling plasma smoke. "But we've got something else. When the field collapsed, we recorded some interesting data about how the collective processes information." Lieutenant Wong stepped forward, her cybernetic eyes projecting additional data streams. "They think as one consciousness. That's their strength. But it's also a weakness. Their responses are perfectly logical, perfectly coordinated, and perfectly predictable." Chen finished the thought. "They can't conceive of actions that don't serve a tactical purpose." "Exactly," Rivera agreed. "They adapt to patterns, but they can't handle true randomness. Real chaos." A plan began to form in Chen's mind. What if we stopped trying to outthink them? Stop trying to be tactical at all? "Captain," Maya looked puzzled. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology," Chen explained, warming to the idea. "It's our unpredictability, our ability to act independently, to make choices that defy logic. The collective thinks as one, but we don't have to." She turned to Kaminsky. "Chief, can you get our maneuvering thrusters back online? All of them, independently controlled." The engineer's eyes lit up with understanding. "You want to remove the coordination protocols. Let each thruster fire randomly." "Not randomly. Chaotically. I want every crew member controlling different ship systems independently. No coordination, no tactical pattern. Pure human unpredictability." "That's," Rivera paused, "that's either brilliant or suicidal." "Probably both," Chen agreed. "But the collective can't adapt to what they can't predict, and they can't predict what has no pattern. Maya, start dividing ship systems among the crew. Weapons, thrusters, shields. Everything operates independently." "What about Perseus Colony?" Wong asked. "They're still vulnerable." "They're our ace in the hole," Chen smiled. "The collective expects us to protect the colony, so we're going to do exactly the opposite. We're going to let them think we've abandoned it." The next 15 minutes were a flurry of activity as the crew reconfigured the Defiance systems for individual control. Every officer and crewman was assigned specific systems to operate, with strict instructions to act without coordination. "Void Collective entering weapons range," Maya announced. "Their formation is perfect, too perfect." Chen took her place in the command chair, watching as the biomechanical ships approached in precise, mathematical patterns. All hands, this is the captain. Everything we know about tactical combat, everything we've been trained to do, forget it. Act on instinct. Be human. Be unpredictable. Begin chaos protocol on my mark. The alien fleet drew closer, their weapons charging in perfect synchronization. They had adapted to every conventional tactic, every logical strategy. But they were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their fundamentally chaotic nature. All hands, Chen's voice was firm. Mark. The battle that followed would rewrite military doctrine across known space, as a damaged human warship demonstrated why trying to predict human behavior was a fool's errand, even for a hyper-intelligent collective consciousness. The space around Perseus' colony erupted into what could only be described as controlled chaos. The UES Defiant moved like a wounded dancer, its movements defying every principle of spacecraft combat tactics, as each thruster fired independently, guided by individual crew members acting on pure instinct. They're trying to establish a targeting lock, Maya reported, her own hands controlling a portion of the shield grid. But their predictive algorithms keep failing. They can't anticipate our movement patterns because there aren't any. The Void Collective ships, massive biomechanical constructs of perfect symmetry and coordination, struggled to engage an enemy that refused to follow any recognizable strategy. Their weapons fire, devastatingly precise against conventional opponents, largely missed the erratically moving human vessel. Maintain chaos protocols, Chen ordered, personally controlling the ship's port thrusters while monitoring the overall situation. Wang, status on their communication patterns. Their collective consciousness is showing signs of strain, Wang reported from her station, cybernetic eyes tracking multiple data streams. They're trying to process too many random variables at once. It's like we're giving them a headache. The Defiant spun and weaved through space, each system operating independently yet somehow contributing to a dance of survival. Weapons fired at seemingly random intervals, shield harmonics fluctuated unpredictably, and power distributions shifted without pattern. They're splitting their formation, Rivera observed, trying to establish a containment pattern. But they can't decide where we'll go because we don't know where we're going. Chen allowed herself a grim smile. Time to push our advantage. All hands, increase chaos factors by 20%. Let's give their hive mind something it really can't process. The result was spectacular. The Defiant's movements became even more erratic, its weapons firing in patterns that defied tactical logic. Some crew members deliberately delayed their actions, others acted with split-second timing, creating a symphony of unpredictability that the perfectly logical collective couldn't comprehend. Multiple signatures destabilizing, Maya called out. Their ships, they're having trouble maintaining structural cohesion. The hive mind is losing control. Kaminsky's voice crackled over the comm from engineering. Captain, I'm seeing something interesting in their energy readings. Every time we do something completely illogical, their power systems spike, like they're burning extra energy trying to make sense of it. Then let's give them something really nonsensical, Chen decided. All hands, execute Protocol Omega, but everyone interpret it differently. Deliberately misunderstand orders. Act on hunches. Make choices that make no tactical sense. The crew responded with enthusiasm, each member contributing their own brand of controlled insanity to the battle. The Defiant's actions became so unpredictable that even its own crew couldn't anticipate what would happen next. The effect on the Void Collective was devastating. Their perfectly coordinated fleet began to show signs of genuine confusion. Ships collided as their unified consciousness struggled to process the chaos before them. Weapons fired at empty space as targeting computers failed to resolve the illogical movement patterns. Energy surge, Maya suddenly shouted. Massive quantum fluctuations in their command node. The main view screen showed the impossible. The Void Collective's primary vessel was experiencing a cascading failure as its biomechanical systems, tried to force logic onto inherently illogical data. The hive mind, designed to process and adapt to patterns, was facing something it had never encountered. True, human-generated chaos. Their secondary ships are losing coherence, Rivera reported with barely contained excitement. The hive mind is fragmenting. They can't maintain unified consciousness under this level of cognitive dissonance. Chen leaned forward in her chair. All weapons, target their command node. Fire at will. And I mean that literally. Fire whenever and however you personally feel is right. The Defiant's remaining weapons opened up in a display that would have made any tactical instructor weep. Quantum torpedoes launched at irregular intervals, energy beams pulsed with varying intensities, and point defense systems created patterns that looked more like abstract art than military strategy. The collective's command ship, unable to adapt to the avalanche of unpredictability, finally succumbed. Its biomechanical form writhed in space as the hive mind lost its grip on unified consciousness. Secondary vessels, suddenly cut off from their central coordination, began to drift aimlessly. They're retreating, Maya announced triumphantly. All collective ships are breaking orbit. Their formations are completely broken. As the alien vessels flowed into fold space, Chen looked around her bridge at her exhausted but proud crew. They had done the impossible. Defeated a technologically superior enemy not through force or even advanced technology, but through the uniquely human ability to embrace chaos and unpredictability. Send word to Fleet Command, she ordered, finally allowing herself to relax slightly. Tell them we found more than just a weakness in the collective. We've discovered humanity's greatest strength, our ability to be brilliantly, wonderfully illogical. The stars shone steadily through the Defiant's view screen as the last enemy ships disappeared. They had written a new chapter in human history, proving that sometimes the best way to fight superior technology wasn't with better weapons or stronger shields, but with the inherent unpredictability of the human spirit. Damage report, Chen called out, already thinking of repairs. And someone get me a secure channel to command. They're going to want to know how a single damaged ship managed to drive off the most powerful hive mind in known space. By being human, Rivera answered simply. Just by being human.